Welcome to Attican Plays Railway Empire. Alright, hi, this is Attican and welcome to another Railway Empire video. I thought it would be fun to go back after all these changes have been made since the Railway Empire came out. Let's go back and play the campaign mission and use Roger as he's now been redefined. So Roger used to get an 8% freight bonus. Now he can buy businesses without an auction, he can put in businesses for half price, and he wants to avoid auctions when he can. So we start out here in Baltimore, and our first tasks are to connect Baltimore and Washington and connect 3 rural stations to our network. So what we want to do is take advantage of Roger's new abilities. So the first thing we see here is what we'd love to have is, of course, a beer meat line. So what we're going to do first thing is buy that dairy farm. Then we are going to tear it down, and then we are going to replace it with a brewery. All right, and then we are going to put a station in Washington. I'm turning it that way, and it'll go back. That'll give me room to expand that station if I need to, and I can put another one the other way back to back. So now we'll go up here and connect and run a beer meat line. And I thought the other reason I thought it'd be fun to do this is that those of you who are playing the game for the first time, if you're new to the game, this is what you're seeing. This is how Roger is. You aren't like those of us who've been playing it a while, who have played the campaign mission with the old Roger. So this should be helpful for those of you who are starting out if you're having any troubles with this. So first thing we want is a beer meat line. We'll open up all 4 platforms up there. We'll set our signals. We'll make sure that there are supplies on the route, and we'll run a couple of trains between Washington and Baltimore. And we'll explicitly say 1, even though that's the only option right now, and we'll say go 1 to 1. And that's a short line. We don't have to run them from both directions. We'll run a couple of trains. So now we've got some money being made that way. And what I'm really seeing here is we've got a fairly developed business here, or city in New York, and we've got beer meat here, different things up here that we could use. So I'm thinking a 3-city cluster would be really strong here, like really strong. So what I want to do before our competitor messes us up in some way, I'm going to go ahead and bite the bullet and put a large station in New York, which is because I know I'm going to be running more stuff in there. And we're going to double track that back. And New York is such a pain. These islands and all this are just, oh, it's a pain. You have to build bridges everywhere and deal with slopes and everything under the sun. So how do we want this to go? Make sure I got the matching sockets, so to speak. There we go. That's not awful. Run it back the other way. Oh, look at this massive bridge I left right there. That's horrid. That's got to go. Just spent a bunch of money didn't need to spend. Let's see if we can get that back. We're going to have to stick with it a little bit. All right, all right. Oops, slipsies, I lost my track. Let's start over. There we go, double track it back. Build our junction so we open up all 4 lanes into New York. Set our signals, make sure we have some supply towers. Before I do that, let's deal with this. This one's always a pain because there's not much room here. So what we'll do is come up here and make our little crossover, our X or diamond junction, whatever you want to call it. Okay, it looks good. Put a supply tower in on this end. Beautiful. And now we can run some trains between Baltimore and New York.
Competitors have introduced themselves to you. They have different approaches and so will behave differently. Basically, however, they want to expand their rail networks and make a profit just like you do. So stay on guard and don't let them take advantage of you.
Okay, so let's see. We've almost got a 3-city cluster going here. All we need to do really is be able to go out of Washington straight to Baltimore, which shouldn't be that big a deal. Have we used up our money? I think we have. No, we haven't. Good. All right. We'll open up a couple more bonds, grab all the money we can get. Debt is your friend. We're going to, let's see. Let's expand this station right here. Now let's expand it a couple of times. All right. And then let's redo our line right here. Okay. We're going to set this station up platform up with a junction so we can open up all 4 platforms. Like so. Now our Washington to Baltimore train should still be working. Yes, are they? Yes, they are. Okay. And now all we need to do, we could run a line even through Baltimore to New York, but we are not going to do that. That's a potential traffic nightmare. We're going to build ourselves a nice bypass around Baltimore. Yes, that bridge, that bridge, that bridge. Try that again. Go up here a little further. Oh, excuse me, had a little coughing fit there. Okay, so we've got the ability now to run a train between Washington and New York. Track 2 to track 2. And from New York to Washington, track 2 to track 2. And New York to Washington and Washington to New York. All right, so now we've got a full-blown three-city cluster in terms of direct connections between all three cities. So, and if those of you aren't familiar with it, that means that any goods made in Baltimore can be shipped to New York and to Washington. Any goods made in Washington can be shipped, of course, to Baltimore and to New York. And then, of course, any goods in New York can be shipped to Washington. So all three cities can create goods that are complementary to one another. And if you'll notice, we've got a nice already, those two are unique. Beer and meat are essential and unique. We've even got clothing. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 of our industries all set up and ready to go. And the next thing we're going to do is show the unbelievable power of the warehouses and how cool they can be. So what we're going to do here, first of all, is set up a warehouse. And if we do it just right, now a new functionality, you have a catchment area and you can automatically be linked to a city without a rail line. It goes over land. Now watch this. If we do this just right, we should be able to, there we go, we can actually get both Washington and Baltimore with the same warehouse. Beautiful. Now we can run supplies into, those are things I know are around us. So we can run supplies into the warehouse and automatically have them go here. And of course, we want this wheat to go into Baltimore for sure. So let's just let this run for a bit until we have some money. And then we'll get our lines set up. All right, so we have a little money now. And what we want to do, we have to connect 3 rural businesses. And clearly, we need to get cattle into meat because that meat is going to supply all 3 cities now. And we need to get wheat into our beer line so that we can get beer to all, keep the beer supply up and make money on our beer business. And logs are right here close by. They could be used by these 2 cities. And then we'll look at later on, we might even look at what we want to do. Actually, in fact, take that back. One thing we will do is go out here to New York. We got this close by. I got 2 log-based industries here in New York. We might as well get paid for running those logs. Let's see if we can buy this. Yeah, we can still buy this for a reasonable price. And let's set up a line where we're going to run, and I want to move it back to give myself room because our competitor here is going to make it a little tough on us. But I think we'll go ahead and set up New York with the lines to be double tracked if we need to do that. And let's see how that's going to work. 174 with a tunnel, 110 with a bridge. The bridge is too long though. Okay, 73, a little high, little elevation, don't care, that's not a problem. So we're going to go ahead and set that up as one of our first ones because that's we can make money off of this. We can keep a steady flow. There's a lot of demand in New York for logs. Let's see what there is right now. It's going to keep growing, and right now it's almost 3 a week, so that's terrific. And what are we getting out of this one? 3.5 a week, beautiful. So we can just leave it at that level 1 for now and check it later if we want to come back and bump it up a little bit. Now we're making money on our city to city lines right now. That's our income. So we need about 70 grand to finish off that line and put in a supply tower. We'll probably win that auction and spend some money.
It seems to me you're
Look, he's giving us money. We don't need money, mister. All right, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Be more careful next
They
time.
gave us money. We don't need it, but that's all right. It'll just speed us up. All right, so we'll run a couple of trains into New York, and we'll pick an empty platform. 1, 2. Uh-oh, stop. Now, why was that a 68-day trip? Because it had to go all the way up here somewhere in order to turn around. So we got to fix that. I didn't open up these 4 lanes, so I picked a lane that wasn't, well, anyway, it couldn't turn around. It had to go all the way down to the other end in order to turn around. But we can fix that very quickly by putting our junction in, which should have been in there already. If you haven't noticed, I'm more used to point-to-point lines, and building these junctions is not in my routine just yet. But I have to admit, I kind of like doing them. All right, so that should do it. And now, if we look at that line, it's 25 days. That's more like it. Okay. Stop. Did I see a problem back here? Yes, I do. What's going on? Here's the other reason I like point-to-point. Don't make mistakes. Okay. Okay. All right, what's happening here is we've got this line from New York coming in like so. And it's merging right here. And because that supply tower is where it is, what I really need to do is get rid of a train and a merge. I hate to do it, but that big train right there is the one that needs to go. So what we're going to do is get rid of that train. And I'd love to get rid of that supply tower. The supply tower is actually the offending party here. So what we need is I need to be able to delete that. Can I delete it? Who's using it? Who's using it? This, no, I don't know who's using it. Sorry, I'm muttering to myself. I'm going to supply tower to death because I want to kill who's using it. There. Now, when you have an intersection like that, you have to make sure that you don't put an extra stop in there where a train can come across and get stopped part way. And if it happened to get stopped and you have traffic down here and they all get stopped, guess what? You now have gridlock. So one thing you need to do is kind of keep it open away from away from the intersection. Make sure that your stops are back here. And now that we've got all those in there, let's see. They're not really all serving a purpose. This one right here in particular is not, could cause delays because it could cause a train to stop here refilling and clog up our Washington line. So now that'll be better. Let's see if they run. They should run smoothly like that. And we lost one of our Washington to, yeah, we lost a New York to Washington train. So let's replace that. That's a shame. Okay, but poor design. So keep that in mind. Keep the main part where all the lines come together. Keep them open so that you don't have a stop or a stop signal or a tower or something in there that's going to cause lines to stop. So let's see. We've got one going. Now we want to get the cattle. Now the cattle, I'm not going to try to put it in a warehouse. I'm going to run it up here and merge it in and let it go into Baltimore, into the station. Assuming we have some space, and we should have platforms that aren't terribly busy. That was very busy. Okay, we got 3 empty ones and one that's being clobbered. So, oh boy. Oh, Washington and Baltimore, that's all right. Slow down. Let's clean this up here. 147. Baltimore, New York, New York, Baltimore, Washington, Baltimore. Okay, Washington, Baltimore needs to go. I don't play sabotage. Washington, Baltimore, and Baltimore needs to go to a separate line, separate platform. Washington, Baltimore needs to go to a different platform. That's much better. All right. Now the bypass was working. That's cleaned up. So now we're gonna run our cattle. And do we want? We got all that money. Let's own the cattle. All right. We've got our breeding. We're going to. And some of you might be thinking, well, you'll never get that money back. Well, I'm going to leave that little bridge. You're never going to get that money back you just spent to buy that farm. Well, yeah, of course it will eventually. Now, will we during this scenario? Maybe not. However, by buying that, we're also bumping up our company value, which is going to allow us to take out bigger and bigger bonds as we go along. So that is actually going to have an upside to it. So we're going to run our cattle, plus it improves our flow of income right from the start, because we're going to be making money from it right off the bat, and we know that Baltimore needs cattle. So we're going to run 3 trains. That's 2. Let's see how 46 days. Let's give it 1 more. All right. So now we've got cattle coming in. Now we want to get that wheat coming in. And do we want to own it? Is it ridiculous? We'll stop right there. That's good enough. We don't have to own everything. Although this we actually want to run into New York as well. So I'm going to use a regular train station. So I have a couple of platforms, and I'm going to run one line down here to New York. Try to pick up that supply tower if we can do it without ridiculous. The whole thing's ridiculous. I'm going to do it with 2 small train stations. It'd be much easier. And run it down here. And that's kind of a good lesson learned too. If something is too clumsy and doesn't work out right, start using the bulldozer and clean it up so it does.
The greater its demands get too. At some point, the goods from the immediate area will no longer be enough. That's where the railroad comes in handy. Now select Baltimore to take a closer look at the city.
I will as soon as I run some wheat. Okay, let's take a look at Baltimore. It's showing us about how you look at demand. 60%. You look here, you see all the things that it needs. All right, so stop.
The fashion-conscious customers are waiting for deliveries of ready-tailored goods.
Now we've still got our warehouse that we're not taking advantage of.
So that the clothing produced in Baltimore can be delivered to New York. I'll let you get on with your responsibilities. Stay alert. I will check on your progress from time to time.
Okay, now we've of course already got our line running from New York to Baltimore. We set that up as part of our 3-city cluster. So now we're going to run tweet.
If you transport the clothing from Baltimore with your rail line, you will be making a considerable contribution to the growth of the industry. Everyone
I was
profits from
too.
that.
Baltimore and Pittsburgh clothing. Okay, so before I run this line, I'm going to think about how are we going to get Pittsburgh, which is over here. We'll want to come up through this nice gap and come down here, and then we'll want to hook up with Baltimore some way. And I'd like to have a city-to-city line. It'd be easy to hook up into this warehouse and just accept the cloth into the warehouse. That would be very easy, but I'd rather have a city-to-city line. So we've got to think about how are we going to do that. Wonder how far out we can't go very far. Okay, we don't have enough room to put one in there on this side. We'll have to put it over here. We could easily put one here and let it loop around. Huh. But we have empty, yes, we have an empty track. We want to use that empty track. So we're going to come off of like so. Go through our nice little pass and go right down there to Pittsburgh. And we'll set up, let's just go ahead and set up a train station in Pittsburgh. looks pretty good. Let's see, a couple little bridges I left I shouldn't have, but we'll just leave them now. They're fine. Run that all the way down here like so, double track. Put in a switch so we can use both lanes. Give it some towers. And now we can run a city-to-city line between Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Track 1 to track 4.
You could hire train crews in the staff dialogue window.
And set up a line from Baltimore to Pittsburgh
Of the selected
from track 4
to assign the staff to.
track 1.
Now open the train details of your most important train and assign an engineer and a stoker to it.
We'll run 6 trains, that's a long line, and then we'll stop. Oh, they want me to assign some people, so we'll just use the other new functionality. We'll hire all these guys.
First call
Boom,
on
there we
cities,
go.
farms, or mines. Of course, your transport income will fall if your competitors connect these to their rail networks.
Now we're working out here to the John Bull. This, and just a quick comment about that. The John Bull is really about one of the few trains I actually care about getting, either the John Bull or Dunham or something after the Grasshopper. Because the Grasshopper, you know, it's the first train. It's a tiny little thing. So let's just see if we can. Look at this. Beatrix bought some of us. We don't really care. So we would like to upgrade all our John Bulls. So let's go out here. We're going to hold off on that stock for just a minute and bump up our John Bulls first. And we'll take that stock, that money, and we will. Now we're running John Bulls everywhere, so we will see our economy kind of take off a little bit because the John Bull has better much more attractive. Here, let's just take a quick look at it. Slow down. You got 21 mile per hour, 21% tractive power. That's pretty bad, but look what we were dealing with, 15 and 11. So we got double the tractive power, and this particular map has some slope in it. You notice I haven't been that shy about going ahead and building in some inclinations. So you know that's a good thing what we just did. All right, so now we got that line going, and now we want to hook up this cotton into Pittsburgh. It's probably pretty expensive at this point. Well, yeah. Okay. It is very expensive. All right, so we're going to run a line and run cotton into Pittsburgh. Set our signals, give it a tower, and okay, and once again, okay, I've forgotten to put my little X's in there. You saw it's a 116-day run because it has to go all the way past Pittsburgh to turn around. One of these days I'll get this into my habit. Okay, take out that one, put in that one. And now it's 26 days. That's a little better. So a couple of those will be just fine. So now we've got cotton going to Pittsburgh. We've got the cloth coming to Baltimore. Baltimore can use that cloth to make the clothes, which we then ship to New York. We've all got all that set up. We've got our little 3-city cluster going. Cotton to Pittsburgh, we got that. Clothing to New York's already started. And it will get better now that this Pittsburgh line is going to start bringing us that beautiful cloth, which we're going to consume and turn into clothing over here in Baltimore. So lovely. So let's just keep pumping some stuff in here to keep the cities growing, keep our income coming in. We've got this logs up here, which we can, what happened? I don't know how I did that. Here we go. We can buy the logging. Wait till we gather up some. Aha, we've got another problem. What happened? All right. Same thing. We've got a train that can stop right here, and trains that want to go back this way can get stopped by that one. So we want to eliminate that signal right there. So shucks. To do that, you got to get rid of that train right there too. That's a shame. Goodbye. Goodbye. This one, no, that one needs to go too. Okay, so now when trains come out of Baltimore, they're going to have to see a clear path all the way back through here to come in, and that's the way it should be. So back here is where the decision will be made for all those lines. And we've got Baltimore growing. Excellent. We'll give them a museum as soon as we can afford it. We finished something else. Oh, 10 cotton. That wasn't very hard. Our clothing will pick up a lot here as these, let's give them a museum. Now, as these, here we go, we're starting to get cloth in here, so our clothing will pick up. We'll start shipping clothing out. Our beer business really should be expanded. It's not getting enough wheat. Are we running wheat yet? Oh, that's right. I hadn't finished that. Sorry. We need to run our wheat line. That's a big one. And very important, too, for the way we're set up as far as making money goes. Where's this track it's waiting on? Oh, yeah, the logs. Sorry, I got sidetracked there. Yeah, that was sad because we've got a beer industry down here that doesn't have wheat. That means our beer industry, which we own, isn't making money, and it's not shipping beer to Baltimore and New York to help them grow. We're losing revenue. No excuse, no excuse. Okay, let's run some logs while we got that set up. Oh, we own that too, don't we? That'd be it's a sin that we're not making money from it. One, two, yeah, we'll give it a couple of trains, and we should start seeing revenue coming out of it. It's not making any now, but next week it should start making money for us. Okay, stop. Now we need to go this line. We don't want to mess with this anymore. That's too crowded. So, redesign time. We could just leave it like that and run it like so. And okay, so here's a chance to show another of the new functionality. We can do these merges that are actually flat. Now we could very easily leave a bridge in there, of course. But we want to have a nice flat junction there. Man. Okay, that looks good. Now it's going to be cantankerous coming back. Now why is that? Because we can't do two of these side by side parallel when they're crossing like this. So what we have to do is anchor it just on either side of it, then grab it in the middle and figure out where we can put it. See, we can get it very, very close, but not quite touching. And that gives us a nice line that didn't cost too awful much. So gather some more funds. And we're also going to have to set the tracks on both sides of that crossing because it treats it as different sections of track. And again, for the 48th time, I have failed to set my junction at the end here of the warehouse. I think that looks pretty good. Let's see if we can run some wheat into the warehouse. And after we do this, we'll worry about buying somebody. Track 3 looks good. 1, 2. Okay, we're going to run some trains because that beer industry consumes a lot of wheat. Plus, keep in mind that wheat can be consumed by Baltimore and Washington. So now, where are we? We've got everything done. What is it they wanted us to do? We have to do something to get them to keep moving. Oh, buy. Yeah, buy. We have to buy a piece of a competitor. $3 million to buy him out. What kind of income do we have? $500,000 a quarter. We could raise $1 million in a year. think what we're going to do is pay off our bonds. We'll pay off our bonds and then open bigger bonds and use whatever money that gives us to buy as much of the cheapest person as we can get. That sounds like a plan. And we've got all these city to city lines going. We might as well have get some money out of our mail and passengers for that. Tunnels, no thanks. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it'll help you become a better player, and I hope you'll join us for our next Railway Empire video. Thank you.